welcome to Texas Style Cuisine. Today we're going to be smoking some spare ribs. They're already St. Louis cut. We're not going to cut those down. I'm just going to show you kind of how I do a St. Louis cut. When I cook some just for the house, a lot of times I'll do the full spare rib, and I don't even cut the breastbone off. I just kind of split it where the cartilage joints are, cook up the whole rib, and make some nice big meaty ribs. But when I'm cooking for a crowd or I'm cooking for a event where I'm catering for somebody, I go ahead and buy St. Louis ribs, because what I figured out is that by the time I trim them, cut them, I'm paying more for them. And right now, I think St. Louis ribs were like, I think I paid $2.55 a pound for these. And the spare ribs, the heavies, were $1.89. So it's more money, and for a long time I thought, well, that's just more money. I can do this and do it cheaper. Then I started figuring out how much I was getting rid of each time. And when I figured by the spare rib, by the rack, it was cheaper to buy some that are already cut down into St. Louis. Now, when I go to a contest, I buy a full spare. I cut it down myself. But for this situation, already cut to the St. Louis cut works great. I'm going to show you how I do it. Not a whole lot of difference in the way a lot of other people do it. But we're going to take these, we're going to break them down, and we're going to show you what's going on. Now, there's my first rack of ribs. And not a lot of cleaning up to do. You can trim that end off a little bit if you want to. This one is not real bad. I'm going to zoom in on this so y'all can see this. But on the ends of ribs, a lot of times, let me pull another one out and see what we've got here. And I've seen a lot of videos, and no one ever does mention this. This one's not too bad either. Pull all these out and look at them. See if I can find one that's a better picture of what I'm talking about. And this one here is probably the one that's the most. So on the big bone end of a set of spare ribs, you have a piece of meat that's sitting on top of a fat cap. And if you cook these up, that's going to bubble up, and it's just going to really want to slide off. And since this piece of meat's going to kind of bubble up on top of that fat and slide off, I just trim it off. I trim that fat down some, and that's how we get rid of that piece, and then we don't have to worry about it at all. So let me get started on these and let y'all see kind of how I do this. So now let's just take this end of the fat off. Like I said, I don't trim my spare ribs just a whole lot. But I'm going to take that off. I'm going to get that little cap of meat off of there. Of bone from when they were cutting these that was left on there. So always check your spare ribs and make sure you don't have any bone on there. I usually kind of feel along the sides. That all feels pretty good. And here's probably where those chips are coming from. I'm going to cut another chip off right there. Get it in the trash. That one's not too bad. It's all pretty clean. I cleaned up that end. And now if we can, let's see if we can zoom in on this fat cap and that piece of meat. Here's what I'm talking about right here. I'm going to take this knife and I am just going to slice right under that thin piece of meat. That is not going to stay on that rib. It's going to get crispy. It's going to puff up. It's not going to be good for me, for you, or for anyone else. A lot of this other fat's going to render down. We don't have to worry about it. It's going to be flavorful on these ribs. Like I said, I do not clean them up real good. Feel the edges. All that looks good. Looks pretty nice. All right, let's check the other ones. All right, got a little bit of a sliver of meat right there. Sometimes this sliver actually is a really big chunk of meat on there. And it really puffs up and is really unattractive on the end of your rib. Some people might cut that off, cut that last rib off. I really don't. They say, cut it off because it's not going to be good anyways. A lot of times what I do is I cut that off and after I've cooked them. So it kind of protects the end. The end doesn't get so crunchy. And then what I can do is after I've cooked them, I can cut that small rib off the end. But these actually are pretty clean. There's not going to take a whole lot of doing on these 4 racks right here. All right, now I'm going to flip these over. We're going to take off this membrane. It's a tough membrane. Seasonings won't penetrate it. Smoke won't penetrate it. Nobody wants to chew on it. I know some people score it and worry about it later and do that, but I like to pull it off. This one's already got some nicks on it, which I don't like. But what I use is, that I've never seen anybody else use, is I use an oyster knife. If you have an oyster knife, because it's not sharp, so it's not going to cut the membrane. So what I do is I slide it right underneath the bone, and we'll zoom in for this for you so you can get a close-up of it. Okay, here we go. Slide that knife up underneath the membrane, lift up on it a little bit, and it's starting to pop off. And then what I'm going to do is, like almost everybody else, I'm going to take a paper towel and try to get this off there in one pull, which it didn't do. And we'll see if we can get one off in one pull maybe. But where we're at, take my oyster knife, go back down there again. Right there at the bone. Lift up. And there we go. We have it off that one. And we're going to get these ready to go. I'm going to drop it in my disposable tray. Put it in that disposable pan. And let's see if we can work on these other ones and see if we can get those off. See if I can get one to come off in one piece. Just work your oyster knife. If you don't have an oyster knife, you can use a butter knife. Some people just reach in there with their fingers and grab it. I've never been good at that. Use a paring knife. Take the paring knife and lift up with the back side of the blade, and so that you're not cutting your membrane. That'll work also. Now, got hold of our membrane here. Grab it. And that one came off in one piece. But now our smoke and our seasonings can penetrate our meat and get to them. That's what we want to do. If this was a full spare, of course, you'd trim off this skirt right here, which is part of the, if it was beef, that'd be the skirt steak right there. But anyways, we're going to trim that off. If it's on there, these have already been trimmed. We don't have to worry about it. I've got one left to do. It's about time to start seasoning these up. I'm going to stack those over there. All right, and for y'all that have seen my videos before, you know what I use for a shaker, and that is a cheese shaker from a pizza place. Like you put Parmesan cheese in and shake on your pizzas. I use that. We got some nice big holes. My rub tends to flow freely through it, so I think it works pretty good. You just can't store it in them because there's no way to seal it off. But I'm going to shake this on there, and then we're going to see if we can get a close-up so y'all can kind of see. I do not put a lot of rub on my ribs. I think when you just cover a rib with rub, you lose your flavor. You can't find it, and the only thing you can taste is that rub. So there's the back side. You can kind of see how much I have on there. I do my back sides first. Then I turn them over and I do my front side. All right, so we're going to continue seasoning these. And again, I'm using my Parmesan cheese shaker. Getting those covered. And get some up on the edges. Okay. But again, not a whole lot of rub. I like to be able to taste the pork, and I really feel like a whole lot of rub covers it all. This is the rub that I use. This is my pork rub, and it has Spanish paprika in it, salt, pepper, garlic, kosher salt, seasoning salt, and a little oregano. But anyways, that's what I use. Nothing totally secret in that, or a lot of things a lot of people use on pork, but that's my pork, and that's the way that I do it. So let's season up these other two racks and get those ready to go out on the pit. And that's about all the seasoning they're going to get. I'm going to let them sit for a little while, and then we'll take them and get them out on the smoker. My pit maker barbecue vaults, they'll be out on it, And I actually cook mine for about 4 hours. And I'll show you this when we get out there, is about the last, 15, 20, 30 minutes, just depending on how they feel. I will coat them with my chipotle barbecue sauce, and I do not do it thick. If it's puddled on there, I have too much. I use a brush, put the barbecue sauce on at the end, brush it kind of thin, and get a coating of it on there for my flavor, but I don't put a lot of it on. I don't want a wet, sloppy rib with these. I like one that has a sauce that has candied up on it and is stuck to the rib, not one that's running off of it. But we're going to cook these for about 4 hours at 275. We'll spritz them with apple juice with a little oil and a little apple cider vinegar, and we'll do that about once an hour. I'm not much on opening up my pit. Once I close it up, I'm a firm believer of if you're looking, you're not cooking. So about every hour, I'll check on them, I'll spritz them, and we'll go a little bit longer. And we're going to see how these turn out, and I bet you everybody really loves them. There's some good flavorful ribs. Stay with us. We'll get these on the pit a little bit and give you some updates on how they're turning out. Well, here's the view I have this morning. It's a lovely South Texas morning. We have been blessed with another beautiful day. You can zoom in there a little bit. Not a lot of green in the winter and the summer here, part of Texas I live in, but it is beautiful. Lovely day. We've been blessed today, without a doubt. So let's finish cooking our barbecue, see if we can get busy. All right, here's our ribs. They've been sitting for a while. Some juices have come up out of those ribs, mixed up with that rub that we put on them. Again, not a real heavy rub. They're looking pretty, but we're going to see if we can get those on the barbecue vault and get them to cooking. So there they are. Here's the barbecue vault. Open the door up. Got some smoke coming out. And we have some briskets on there. Alright, got us some rack space cleared off here. Ribs are going to go on. See if we can get those lined up, get it closed up. Get these a cooking. Nice brisk morning. You see I have my jacket on. Here in South Texas. But good looking ribs. They're going to cook up fine. Last one. Alright, splitting the ribs up a little bit. They are looking good. They are beautiful mahogany color. We've got a bright sunshine out there shining in back into the trailer. Those ribs are looking pretty today. I'm going to put just a little bit longer. They're not quite there. Try the bend test on them. Grab them in the middle, pick them up, and they're not pointing at the ground yet, so they still got a ways to cook. Now I'm fixing to sauce these. They are a beautiful mahogany color. No sauce on them at all. All right, here we are going to check the barbecue vault from Pitmaker. I have my briskets and my ribs still on here, a couple of them anyways. I'm taking them all off. We're going to see how these are looking. Pull this out. And those ribs are a beautiful mahogany color, just what we're looking for. They have been sauced. We put our dry rub on them and then sauced them, as y'all saw earlier. But about the last 15 minutes, so we have it candied up real good, and we're going to take those off. I just kind of do the bend test. If I can pick it up in the middle and it points to the ground, I know my ribs are ready to come off the pit. So let's get these two racks off. This one bends good. Kind of see it points down to the ground. That's what I'm looking for on mine to know that they're done. You can prick them with a toothpick and do different things like that, but that works good. Here's one of our briskets. We're cooking USDA prime briskets. This one's looking really good in here. Got a nice mahogany color on it. But let me pull these off, take care of our ribs. Here we go, rack of ribs. Looking pretty. I'm just going to come in here, slice these off, let y'all have a look at them. Give them 6 bones. And here we go. Got some smoke ring inside of them. You see it forming. But anyways, nice shiny ribs, juicy ribs. Look real good. Take off one more and do a bite test on it. Let's see how it bites. Right there. Good, good. Left my teeth marks in it. There's no tug to it. Perfectly cooked rib. Excellent.